Okay, good day, everybody. This is Freeman Vitamin from Free-Techno Enterprises. I am here with the while loop today. I want us to talk about the while loop. I will say that basically, if we can start from the beginning, a loop. A loop is a program of constructs which helps us run repetitive code, right? As you can see here, in here, I've just opened my IntelliJ, which is my favorite IDE. And then in here, I created a project, and inside the project, I created a file, which is the main file. And then we are going to create our main class in this file. And that class, I've also called it the main class. And then what we are going to be talking about here, as I've just said, it is the while loop. So we said in looping, when it comes to programming, we have different kinds of loops, which is the for loop. I will share the link to the for loop because I have tutorials on the for loop, right? We have the for loop, we have the do while loop, we also have the while loop. And today we're going to be talking about the while loop, which is simply like this. We just introduce the keyword while and then put in everything after this. But then we before we start with the while in here, before we introduce the while in here, we need to introduce what we call we need to introduce this PSV something like this, which is the main method, right? As you can, I think you can remember. And then inside in here, you cannot be able to run and execute code because without this method or without a method in Java, you can't be able to run code. We can just introduce code, you can type in code, but it will not be able to run. We need this method so that we can be able to run, right? So that I have just introduced it in here. Otherwise, let us jump into the while. To introduce the while, we just do this. Introduce this keyword. We say this is a Java keyword, the while. It is a keyword. And then in after typing the while, we introduce two parentheses, the first and the second, or maybe the opening and the closing parenthesis. And then in here, we put the condition. And we are going to make our condition something like this. Or maybe let me just, I want Boolean condition, something like this, and then make it true. And then in here, we're just going to put the condition, right? Something like this. That is how we code, right? I think most of you can record or can remember. So I want us to run this code while this condition is whatever is true. Okay. So what is going to happen in here is I'm going to say, please how do I subscribe? And this is going to print so long as this condition here is true. I think now you understand. So long as this is true, this is going to continue printing please subscribe. What does it mean? It means because now we haven't controlled the loop, we haven't manipulated it, like trying to stop it. It is going to keep on printing, please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe for eternity or forever. So we have to find a way to be able to stop or to control our loop. Because when we are running a program or when we are creating a program, we want that program or that computer software to do some things for a certain number of times. I think you understand. As you can see now, we keep on getting this please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe. Even if I can leave this program here, uh, it will continue running so long as my computer is on or so long as this IntelliJ window is open. It is going to continue running. This is what we call in the infinite loop. So we want to have a way to stop this loop. Yeah, we want to find a way to control this loop so that it stops at a certain number of times. So to be able to do that, we are going to introduce a counter variable. Just introduce a counter, something like this. Int count, and then make it maybe let us start it at 0, right? So now what we are going to say, we are going to say while condition is true, because this means condition is true. I think you understand it one. This means the condition is true. So what we're going to say now, while condition is true, we're going to print this. And then during the execution of our code, we need to make this counter. Like we need to increase the value of the counter so that the counter can be able to control this execution at some point, right? So that this counter variable can turn this to be false at some point. How do we go? How are we going to do that? We are just going to say if, and then if counter maybe let us make it equal to 5, then we are going to make the condition to be false. Condition must be false, something like this. Now what we're saying is if counter is 5, the condition must be false. Then for counter to be able to continue adding values, we need to be able to increase the value of counter. How? Like this counter, something like this. So what is going to happen now? This is going to print for the first time. It is going to print for the second time, third time, and fourth time. When it prints for the fifth time, it is going to make the counter value like 5. And then if counter here becomes 5, then this condition becomes false. And when this condition becomes false, then we are not going to have any execution again. The execution is going to stop. So we need to see that now in practice. I think but then it seems like IntelliJ is running for the second time now, so I'm not sure why is it taking so long. Because what happens with IntelliJ is it's a bit slower when you're starting things out, but then after some time it gets up and starts being faster. So maybe let us give it something like 2 seconds. Okay, as you can see, now the loop has been controlled. It printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it included 6. Why did it include 6? Because we said if the counter is 5, which means that it started from 0 and went all the way to 5. If you can count the values from 0 to 5, you can have 6 values. That is why it has printed 6 executions in here. Otherwise, this is how we code and this is how we implement the while loop. You can try to start afresh the video, try to check everything, try to familiarize yourself with everything in here, and then try to do the infinite loop, and then try to do the controlled loop and see are you getting it, are you understanding everything in here. Otherwise, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting the channel. Please subscribe, please subscribe, and then I think I will see you in the next tutorial, which is going to be about the do while loop. The do while loop is also a loop in construct. It's just that it works a bit differently from the two loops that we've talked about, which is the for loop and the while loop. The do while loop is going to print at least once, or it's going to execute at least once before it stops. Whenever the situation you give, it is going to execute at least once before it stops. But these other ones, these two, they can be controlled to not print. If I can just put false in here in the first execution, this is not going to print, right? It is not going to execute anything. So I think you understand. So the do while is going to print at least once whenever the situation given or the condition given. It is going to print at least once. But we are going to talk about it in future tutorials. Otherwise, thanks for today. I think I'll be seeing you in that future tutorials.